Welcome to this week's edition of Ask WWN. As you know, this week we are live here. As you know, Ask WWN, once a week we go live on the air to answer your questions. Well, what better way to begin by starting off and talking about the Cruiserweight division. Given what seems like a renewed commitment to the tag division, do you see WWE revamping the Cruiserweight division? Well, you know, WWE wants to do a show based around Cruiserweight talent, and that is going to be featured on the WWE Network. The problem there is that there has been little to no movement on the WWE Network becoming a reality. When it looked as though these plans were a go, WWE was interested in numerous cruiserweight names throughout the industry, but that interest has tampered with the lack of information regarding the WWE Network. If the network ever gets off the ground, I see this being something the company will look to bring back, and it should create more opportunities for high-flying workers. Next question. How do you see the rumored Stephanie versus Vince McMahon storyline playing out after Stephanie getting introduced as the owner of WWE? Do you see the payoff being at WrestleMania for control of the company? Well, you know, WWE introducing Stephanie McMahon as the owner of the company is apparently part of a storyline progression that will eventually lead to Stephanie and Vince program that you mentioned. I haven't heard of any future creative plans there, but it clearly is a lack of interest in the current storyline, as it was very evident with the abysmal viewing audience numbers. You can go to WorldWrestlingNews.com and we have the numbers right there. WWE had hoped that the current McMahon/corporation storyline would be enough to spike ratings against the stiffer fall competition, but so far things have gone the other way. Why do you think the WWE is not interested in signing AJ Styles? Well, let me start off by just saying that AJ Styles is still under TNA contract through December. So, he even if he wanted to, he can't negotiate with WWE until that time. And, we're told that the WWE interest in Styles is mild. And while they have respect his talent and his abilities, they see him as a guy that would have to start from scratch. He's 36 years old. And from what I've heard, his chances of getting a WWE contract, would be better if WWE had a date for their prospective cruiserweight show. Our last question. What do you feel about that wrestling industry needs to become relevant again, or has it peaked in the late 90s and we will never see that sort again? Well, it's possible for me to predict whether or not that we'll see another pro wrestling boom like we had in the late 90s. I absolutely think it is possible, and it is evident with WrestleMania draws over 1 million buys. Let's not forget WWE is a huge company and raking in hundreds of millions of dollars a year. The business needs a viable competitor, because I'll argue that storylines are better when they're written with an act of desperation. The current stuff in WWE isn't resonating with the fan base, and that became more clear with Monday Night Raw's audience, and it had someone pushing them. They would likely be forced to step up to the plate more on a weekly basis, and sometimes I feel as though WWE shows are mailed in just to produce new live TV each week. Well, that was this week's edition of Ask WWN. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to send your questions to us at askwwn@worldwrestlingnews.com via email. And of course, tweet us your questions using our official hashtag AskWWN on Twitter. And of course, we are at W Wrestling News. Thank you for tuning in.